It's crazy to think that we've already had our state 4130s for 3 months, and in that time, we've gone on everything from casual rides to loading them up with bikepacking gear and going bikepacking.
Before we got our 4130 All-Roads, we wondered what they would be like, and we had a lot of questions.
And in this video, we're going to answer all of those questions.
You may have wondered if the 4130 All-Road is a good starter bike.
I would say yes, it is a good starter bike, but at the same time too, it's more than just a starter bike that you would buy and then have to get a whole new bike in like a year or 2 years after you outgrow it. You can really grow with the 4130 because the frame itself is super solid. And pretty much all the components you get are pretty decent and are going to get you pretty far down the line before you really have to upgrade anything.
Compared to a lot of starter bikes, I would say this is probably one of the best ones you're going to find for the quality of what you're getting, like the actual chromoly steel, and then being able to do upgrades on the bike that you might not be able to do on other bikes. This bike you can.
Yeah, that's a good point. Like, not only is the chromoly frame really nice, but it has a lot of modern parts on the bike that will work with all the modern components. Like, for example, it has UDH, which allows you to use the SRAM electronic drivetrains. So that's something that maybe if you got a frame that had quick release axles like a lot of other budget gravel bikes have, you're not going to be able to upgrade that to the best wheels, to the best drivetrains and all that. So with the State 4130, you really can upgrade to the best of the best stuff. All right, so the next question is, how was the assembly?
Well, I feel like the assembly was really nice because sometimes when you buy a new bike, it's completely not together yet. But this bike, the 4130 All-Road, was mostly put together.
Yeah.
So it was really easy to put together because of that reason. Also, if you didn't know how to do that, you could take it to a bike shop and have them assemble it for you.
Yeah, that's a really good point. It's not as hard to assemble as a bike that they would maybe get into the bike shop. I used to work in a bike shop for a short stint, and I remember we put together your stump jumper, and that was much more complex as far as putting the bike all together. This is more of a straight out of the box, throw the wheel on, attach the handlebars the correct way, and you're pretty much good to go.
Yeah.
There was a little bit of adjusting that we had to do with the shifting and all of that. To get it a little bit better. So that was one thing. And another thing worth noting too is that if you want to actually get the warranty with this bike, you do have to take it to a bike shop to get it certified. The reason they do that is because, you know, everybody feels confident they can put it together, but when it comes to a warranty claim, if somebody's saying, oh, this part doesn't work, state's not going to send you a new part unless it's confirmed by somebody who's a professional. So that's something to keep in mind. We put together our bikes ourselves, but if we truly wanted to get the warranty, you do have to take it to a bike shop.
How would you say the fit is? I'm 5'5", and I got a size 47, which is a small.
Yeah.
And I think it fits true to size for me.
Yeah, so I'm 6 foot tall, and I went with the 51 centimeter, which is the medium size. And I feel like it fit pretty good for the most part. I did feel like coming from mountain biking that the stem seemed like it was a little bit long, but I think I'm getting used to it more and more. I ride in the hoods a lot when I'm riding this bike, and I feel like I just kind of wish it was just in a few more centimeters. I feel like that would be the ultimate fit, but overall I feel like it fits pretty good. I really like the standover height of the bike. I like that it has a really short seat tube, so I feel like it's just super easy to hop off the bike, to have the bike between your legs and not feel like you're kind of teetering off the side, which makes it really good for riding gnarlier terrain.
If you're having trouble with the fit of the bike, you can actually go take it to a professional, I don't know what they call it. It's like someone that fits you on the bike.
Yeah.
Usually a bike shop can do that, but you could call in ahead and see, like, do they do bike fits? And then if they do, you could get professionally fit, and then it can fit you perfectly.
All right, so the next question is, what are our favorite things about the bikes?
So I would say my favorite thing about the bike is something I didn't anticipate. The bike is pretty heavy because it's made of chromoly steel, and I'm not used to that because my last bike was made out of carbon. Almost everything on the bike was carbon, so this is a huge weight difference for me, and I felt like that was going to slow me down. But after riding it a few times, I got comfortable and I started realizing that by having all that weight, it's actually carrying my momentum further and thus having me pedal less hard. So it was carrying my weight further with less effort, which is kind of interesting, and I was not expecting that. So I think that's probably my favorite thing about the bike. And also, it doesn't matter how much weight is on the bike, it still does the same thing. It's weird because when we went bike packing, it still carried all that momentum, even though the bike was heavy.
Yeah, I completely agree with that. I feel like when I'm riding this bike and staying on the bike, keeping my speed consistent, I really enjoy riding this bike. I feel like the bike just wants to go. And yeah, if you're hopping off a lot, if you're stopping and going, that extra weight is going to be more critical for your style of riding. But for us, just going on long distance rides, just kind of on like gravel paths and stuff like that, I feel like these bikes work super well for that. So yeah, that's a good point. I would say my favorite feature of this bike is the fact that they sell it with 650B with like some meatier, knobbier tires, and then they also have the 700C version. Katie went with the 700C, which is cool. It's kind of more of her style. She has mountain bikes that are all 29ers, and I'm a really big 27.5 guy, so I really liked that they had something kind of for each of us. And yeah, I feel like the tires they come with are great too. So it's just really cool being able to kind of customize your bike and make it your own. They also give you the option too of buying both sets of wheels with the bike when you check out, which is cool. And you can also upgrade different parts depending on what you want to upgrade on the bike just straight out of the box. So you can kind of upgrade things, change things out, which I think is cool. It just kind of gives you the option of choosing between a few different setups, even though it's still just the same 4130 all-road.
On what terrain does this bike thrive?
Okay, so I would say that it thrives, kind of like we were just saying, almost like your point about it just wants to point and shoot and just keeps moving. I think any kind of flat path, smoother terrain, it excels just because of some of the limitations with the brakes and the drivetrain. I feel like those are the two main things that you would really need to upgrade before you would take it on anything that's closer to single track or true off-road.
I also think that you can kind of customize the bike to fit a lot of different types of terrains, which is kind of interesting. That goes back to the whole, like, you can customize it a lot. You can make it more mountain bikey if you really want to.
Yeah, totally. I would say mine is more of like the off-road version because it has the beefier, grippier, knobbier tires, and Katie's kind of more of a street slicker. But yeah, overall, I feel like you can really kind of customize this bike to the terrain that you want to ride it on, and the frame itself is super... Oh, little Cheese out there. Cheese, what do you think about the 4130?
She knows it. She went on a bike ride with us.
Yeah, she does go on bike rides with us.
She went on a bike ride with us.
Yeah. Alright, so just want to interrupt this video for a second to tell you guys about our Patreon. So we just recently started posting our videos 2 days early on our Patreon. So if you're a really big Nick and Katie fan and you want to see our videos as soon as they come out, go to our Patreon and consider becoming a patron. It not only gives you access to the videos early, but you get a few other benefits as well. And then just the peace of mind knowing that you help to support our channel and help us in the creation of these videos. If you get a second, go and check that out after the video, and back to the video. All right, so the next question is it good for bike packing? So in short, yes, it is good for bike packing. I feel like they feel really steady, which I liked. We loaded them down with like a crap ton of gear, and I never felt like the bikes felt like they were wonky or wobbly. And even up at speed, I felt pretty stable on the bike. So I was actually kind of surprised. And even when going slow, I felt pretty stable on the bikes, which I think is even more of a surprising thing. So we really like all the attachment points too. That was a big thing. I think that was one of the biggest selling points for us buying the bikes in the first place, was just that there's tons of eyelets on these bikes. There's 4 on the fork. There's spots to mount racks in the front and in the rear. There's spots to put a top 2 bag, like basically everything you could ever imagine. So we have tons of bags and racks and attachments and stuff. So yeah, it's really good for bike packing.
It's definitely an adventure, but can't say it. It's definitely an adventure bike. So it is made for adventures, like any kinds. Like, I feel like you could take this bike anywhere and it would do really well.
Yeah, it's definitely made for adventures.
And
it's ready.
Feel really solid, and you'd feel safe.
Yeah.
And the bike feels very, like, well made, So I feel like I would feel good taking it farther away.
Next question. What is the first upgrade you would do?
Yeah, I think I would probably try flat bars. Because I miss my flat bars on the rail trail, I really do like flat bars, I think.
Yeah.
Since I gave this a good try, I feel like I'm not really... I don't know, I just don't like how that feels. I feel like I'd rather have flat bars again, and it might make my life a lot easier.
Yeah, I feel like I just find myself riding on the hoods. I don't ever use the drops. I don't know if you guys do. Drop a comment and say where you usually ride if you're riding on a gravel bike. I feel like 95% of the time I'm on the hood, so I'm just like, why don't I just get some bar ends or maybe some interesting alt bars that have that position? And then when I want to just use my brakes properly, I could just have them like standard mountain bike brake levers and just run flat bars. I kind of feel like that would be a better setup for this style of riders that we are. And also, we're coming from a mountain bike background too, so it's just like super natural for us to use flat bars. And we also use flat pedals and everything too, so flat gang for life, you know? And then after that, I think since you're going to flat bars, you would have to upgrade the brakes or at least swap the levers out. So I feel like that'd be a really good opportunity to put some slightly better brakes on these bikes. I feel like
Yeah.
that's definitely a limitation when going
And
downhill.
I can see where this is going.
Yeah.
Turning my bike into a mountain bike.
Yeah, basically, it's like that'd be very typical.
And then get
of
a
us.
dropper post, and
Yeah.
then get some better pedals and a better drivetrain, or like a lighter drivetrain. Maybe even just trying to make it a little bit lighter in different places.
Yeah, you could. You could get like the monster fork is something that I feel like would be a really good upgrade for you. So State
yeah.
sells the carbon monster fork and it actually has more tire clearance, which would be cool too because you were thinking about trying out some knobbier tires.
Wait a minute.
So
You get a
I feel like
fork
that'd be
that
awesome.
has a little bit of cushion.
You could, yeah. Yeah, you could run a suspension fork
That
on
might
this
actually
for sure.
feel
Yeah.
good for like mountain biking too.
Yeah.
Might make it more doable, like how my track was.
Yeah, just turn it into a mountain bike.
And maybe I should just turn it into a mountain bike.
State does have a chromoly mountain bike too, so if you're like, oh, maybe I should just get a mountain bike, definitely check out their mountain bike too. They have a pretty cool hardtail, which hopefully we can get our hands on in the future and do a review on. I feel like I'm pretty keen to try that bike out. So, but yeah, I feel like those upgrades would be really cool, and then maybe a drivetrain upgrade. Just because the drivetrain that came on these bikes, it's good. Don't get me wrong. Like especially for the flat riding, like we said, like where you're kind of putting it in a gear and keeping it in a gear, it's totally fine. But when you're crunching gears, kind of going up and down, maybe you're riding kind of up in the hills or up in the mountains. There is some ghost shifting going on even with dialing in our setup as good as we could get it. So it just seems like we could get a little bit more out of maybe having an upgraded drivetrain. So again, that's something kind of down the line. Another thing that I think would be a really cool upgrade for this bike or for these bikes eventually would be a better wheel set. So I'm not like a wheel snob by any means. I've never even ridden carbon wheels, but I've just heard enough things from other people about the carbon wheel upgrade that it seems like something worth doing. So, if we really come into some money, if you guys really hit the Patreon army, we'll get some carbon wheels. But yeah, so we'll see about that. But everything else on the bike so far, the smaller components and just like the handlebar, stem, all of that, super high quality components that you don't really need to upgrade unless there's like a fit issue or something like that. So yeah, those are our upgrades. Was it worth the money? So
Yes.
yes, I would definitely say it's worth the money. I also feel like this is a good time to mention too that we were looking into the State 4130 because we wanted to get gravel bikes, we wanted to go bike packing and everything. So we were settled on the State 4130 and we knew that that was the bike we wanted. So we dropped a message to State and they were kind enough to actually supply us with a discount to help us get these bikes to share with you guys and to review. So it was definitely worth the money for sure. Even if we had to pay out of pocket the $1,000 for each bike, I think these bikes are super worth it just because of the platform that you get. The chromoly frame is just a super solid frame. Again, it's got tons of attachment points. It's got all of the modern amenities that you would want for doing any upgrades. So just on that basis alone, I think the bike is absolutely worth the money, especially when you can compare it to some of the bikes that are going for $2,000, $3,000 today. I think you can get a lot more, especially if you would get this bike and upgrade the parts that you really want to upgrade, like the brakes and the drivetrain. I feel like this bike is really swinging high above its price point at that point. So.
And we did do some searching on Facebook Marketplace for actually a really long time.
Yeah.
And we were struggling with finding a good deal on Facebook Marketplace just because adventure bikes are not cheap. They do cost something. So when you look into it, when you really look into it, it's really hard to find a good deal. And if you do, they're pretty far away from home. Because we found some bikes that we were like interested in, but they were just a little too far for us to get.
Yeah, true.
But even with that, I think they still cost more than these bikes did.
Yeah, I mean, we were looking into Surly as another brand that we were kind of interested in, and a lot of their bikes that we wanted, like the Midnight Special was a really cool option. Also like the Bridge Club bikes like that. But I felt like for the price point compared to the State 4130, I just felt like the State 4130 was just a little bit of a better deal. And also we were kind of looking into a few other bikes like Poseidon. We weren't really super keen on the aluminum frames. We really knew we wanted chromoly just because I feel like there's been...
I didn't know.
Well, yeah, okay. Well,
He was
I
sure.
really wanted it. Yeah,
I had no idea.
Yeah, I've owned chromoly bikes before, just like vintage mountain bikes, but I've never had a modern geometry, modern gravel bike chromoly frame.
Yeah.
So I really wanted to try that. I wanted to see what the hype was all about.
Yeah.
And I just wasn't super stoked on the aluminum from Poseidon. Another brand we were looking into was Primo's. They have like a pretty similar setup, probably the most comparable to the 4130. But yeah, we ended up going with the 4130. We just felt like the spec on it and
their whole vibe, like their whole
States like
aesthetic,
ethos. Yeah.
Their whole aesthetic. We also liked that it is a rider-owned company, so that's really cool to support other bike riders, and that helps the whole community as a whole. And that's what we're all about. We're about helping the community and also supporting one another. So that's another reason why we went with State.
So who would you say this bike is for?
Us.
Is for us. Cool people like us.
No, it's for you too, because I feel like it's very customizable. You can kind of make it whatever you want it to be. So you can literally like turn it into a mountain bike if you wanted to. You can turn it into a road bike if you wanted to. You could turn it into a rail trail bike if you wanted to. You could turn it into an adventure bike if you wanted to. That's what's so cool about this bike, is that it's so customizable.
Yeah. I'm trying to think of like who this bike isn't for, honestly. It's pretty much for most people. I feel like if you want a true road bike, obviously no. Yeah. If you want a true mountain bike, you can make it into a more trail capable machine for sure. And I think you can make it into a faster road bike machine as well if you wanted to. So it's very adaptable.
And they also have this in carbon too now.
Yeah, they have a carbon gravel bike. They have an aluminum gravel bike. They have a bunch of stuff. So
I feel like if you're trying to go for fast, you should go with the carbon.
And it has a swap box, which is pretty cool. So I guess they don't technically call it a swap box, but it's like a glove box thing. Yeah, they have a new color. Yeah, it's like a black one.
It's like black and orange, which is so
And then they have a white one. They have like a purpley one and stuff. All right, guys. So I hope you found this video very helpful. If you have any more questions about these bikes, we're more than happy to answer them down in the comment section. We always respond to every comment. Also, we have a link if you want to purchase this bike through our link. A portion of the sale actually goes to supporting our channel, which is really cool and is actually one of the best ways you can support us. Be sure to like the video as always, subscribe, check us out on Patreon, and we will catch you guys in the next one.